Chapter 3, The Sin Slayer. A child was born, and this was no ordinary child. This child was a dragon slayer. The child had come into a dark world, a world of people whose hearts were filled with darkness. But this child was light. He was a human child, an ordinary human, and yet he was far from ordinary, and he was not just human. As he grew, he went out into the world. He showed the world who he really was. This was Jesus. Jesus went out into the world and he transformed it. He forgave the sin of those who came to him. Only God can forgive sin. He restored full health to those who were ill. He restored full function to those with disabilities. He restored full life to the dead. Only God can give life like that. He spoke with truth, with wisdom and insight that could only come from God. He commanded wind and waves with a power that only God could have. He commanded evil spirits, banishing them from the people that they were tormenting. He overwhelmed the darkness with his light. This could only be God. Jesus was the Son of God. Everywhere he went, his power and his life and his love and his goodness spilled out. His light shone out. And as Jesus bathed his world in his light, the story began to make sense. The heartache and promises and the waiting and longing for centuries fell into place. Jesus was the missing piece of the puzzle. He was the key to unlocking it all. This was the day the world had been waiting for, even if it didn't know it. At this time, at just the right time, Jesus was drawing together all the threads that God had been weaving. And the picture was becoming clear. The beautiful, breathtaking, breath-giving picture. Jesus was the one God had promised to send. He was the chosen king. It was Jesus' story God was telling. And now he was walking towards the climax, the pinnacle, the aha moment of this story. He was walking towards his death. The world had been plotting against him. Behind the scenes, the serpent had been whispering again. The well-meaning enemies of God, with their twisted hearts and their blinded eyes, had been scheming, and their moment to do something had come. They arrested Jesus. They brought him before human rulers and demanded that he be executed. He was given a heavy wooden cross to carry and led out to his death. And as he hung, nailed to that cross, dying, the people watching made fun of him. He saved others. Let him save himself if he is God's chosen one, the Christ, they said. He didn't save himself. The soldiers who'd led him out to die made fun of him. If you're the king of the Jews, save yourself, they said. He didn't save himself. One of the criminals who was being executed alongside him made fun of him. Aren't you the Christ, God's chosen one? Then save yourself and us, he said. Jesus didn't save himself. It was the middle of the day. For about 3 hours, the land was plunged into darkness because the sun stopped shining. A massive curtain which had hung in God's temple, separating the people from God, tore in two from top to bottom. Jesus cried out, "Father, I give my life into your hands." And then he died. This was the moment. This was the climax of the story. Because Jesus was no ordinary man, and this was no ordinary death. This death was victory. This was the death that crushed the serpent. This was the death that dismantled sin. This death would bring humanity and God back together again. This was the death that swallowed death. Jesus Christ, the light in the darkness, the life-giving one who died, the chosen King and Son of God, had saved the world.